Cynicism may create its own reality. I have a lot of stories I could tell on this one. Real life stories. I had a brother. I had a few brothers. Two I never met. One I did meet. Two died, one lived a day and then died, and the other one came out dead. And my third brother was incredibly valued by my mother and my father, but especially by my mother. And so he was the first living child of my parents. And I don't know how this fear came about, but he was a preemie, and he was very sick. And I remember from the time he was about 8 years old forward, he kept thinking he was going to die of cancer. And he would say it over and over again. I remember he would call me up after I was married, and he would ask me about dental issues. And here I was not in the therapy world back then. When he would ask, I was in finance and accounting, and he would worry that he would develop some form of dental cancer, some kind of gum cancer. And I would allay his fears, and I realized one of the problems he had, because he's no longer alive. And what did he die of? Cancer. Kid you not. Years and years ago. I call it a broken heart, actually, because there's more to the story than that. But to put that in a parking lot. So recently, over the last 2.5 years, I've heard, hey Tracy, I've heard so many people, clients really, and now I'm in their homes. That's what I do. I do all home calls now. I switched from office to all home calls completely like 3 months ago. So now I get to really see them in their environment. And I hear things like, well, that will never happen because, the political landscape, and okay, that's what I hear. And, that's not going to happen. And I look at them and I'm like, what do I say to these people? How do I tell them to have a little faith? How do I, And so, I think about it, I contemplate, and then I pray. And then finally, was it yesterday? No, it was Tuesday. It was 2 days ago. This lady, and it's always people older than me, it tells me that don't believe in karma and all this, right? And then I turn around and I give them examples, right? Which I did 2 nights ago. I did a thing on karma, I think 2 or 3 nights ago. So this one lady who I adore, who's older than I am, she said to me, blah, 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 blah. It was negative. Political negative. And her and I think a lot alike. And I looked at her and I said, now listen to me. I said, I know you're from the South. And I know you know a lot of things about the South. And I know nothing about the South. Kind of, sort of. Because I'm a Jersey through and through. I'm a Jersey person, New Jersey person, all the way through. The only time I was in the South was in the service. North Carolina, South Carolina, that was it. But I said, you got to have this belief on some incredible divine level, whatever we want to call him, it, them, her, whatever. Doesn't matter. And I said, you got to look at it like people can change, or people can get smarter. People will do better. They will do better. Somehow, in some incredible way, people will do better. Because if you keep thinking that way, I said to her, in that cynical, she goes, yeah, I have a lot of cynicism. I said, stop. I said, if you think negatives, what are you going to bring on your life? Negatives. If you think positives, guess what might happen? Positives. So I said to her, and she looked at me, she goes, you know what? I know you're right. I went, yeah. And I said, so if you think your body can't repair, or if you think the political scheme that's going on right now cannot repair, then guess what? If enough of you think that negatively, you're going to ruin our country. You got to stop this. You got to believe. You got to have hope. And you got to tell yourself that you believe. Even when you don't believe, you got to do it anyway. And I had this young lady in the gym a week ago. And I said, I know you lost your fight to his decision. And I know you're better than that. And I said to her, I know you worked really, really hard. And it was your first fight. And you had an adrenaline dump. And I looked at her and I said, but I want to know what you're saying to yourself before you get in there to spar with me or one of the guys. Or before your next fight. Or before the fight you just had. I want to know what you're saying to you. Right? And I talked to her coach, her trainer, and I talked to the guy that runs the gym, and I talked to her boyfriend, and I talked to her boyfriend right in front of her. And he's got it. He's got what it takes to be a fighter. And I know what it might be that made her have the massive adrenaline dump. We all say, oh, well, it's her first time and this and that. No, it can be, but that's not the whole formula. So I said to her, you know what I want you to do? And I talked to her trainer before I said this to him. And then I said it to her boyfriend in front of her. Before you get in there to spar, and I said it to the gym owner, before you get in there to spar, you need to make up some kind of, I don't know, mantra. I said, I got mine. And remember, I said this to the owner, and he said, I know, I've heard you whisper. I said, yeah, I've got my mantra. I've got my prayer and my mantra before I get in there to spar with anybody. I assume, even though I've fought professionally, that everybody else is a professional, even though it's their first, they're just sparring, they're sparring. It's their first time sparring with me, or maybe their 8th time sparring with me, but they've never competed, But I still know that they can have that one shot, and I got to be careful. And I can't get mad at them, because I have to know better. I'm a professional. And then when I get in the ring, and I wait for them to get ready, and their coach is giving all sorts of orders, and I'm standing in the corner alone, jumping up and down, staying warm. I'm praying. I'm saying to myself, this kid could be greater than anybody knows. This kid could be greater than anybody knows. So I said to God, help me, help me, help me. So I do it. I have my little prayer. And I looked back to my last cage fight I had, which was right before my 53rd birthday. So it's like 2 3/4 years ago. It was in Montana. I went up against number 8 in the world, and it was only my second pro fight, I should say. And I was very calm, because all of a sudden I realized I went 1.5 years without really being coached in mixed martial arts. My coach had moved in June, lost his gym in April of 2014, moved June 2014, and it was now October 2015, right before my 53rd birthday? Yeah, so I was 52 going on 53 at the time. And I said, you know what? I got nothing to lose. This girl's number 8 in the world. She's been doing this stuff since she was 2 or 3 years old. She went pro at 16. She's 20. This is going to be a good day. And so I lost to an armbar in 2 minutes. But who cares? I looked at it like, who gets to do this at any age? Very few. Guys and gals, very few. To go to that level. It's like going from the minors to the majors without having anything in between, right? But what did I do so that I wouldn't be damaged permanently? And so I'd be really focused. I had my mantra. And that's how you fight. You go in there with your best skills, whatever it is at the time. You go in there with your best mantra. And if you set your day up every day like that, when you walk into a gym or you go to out to the road to run or walk, and you say a little prayer of some sort, no matter what your religion is, there's a little divine thing that goes on in the world that's in your cellular structure. Pray to that and thank it, and then begin your run or walk and meditate on that. And so that 1.5 miles that you could never accomplish in running or walking, guess what? Have a little faith. It'll come. And then all of a sudden you'll do 2 miles, and you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do that. So, food for thought. Have a great night. Stay safe and be well.